Two cabins in the same clearing. Same square footage. Same logs. Same insulation in the walls, same year of build, same roof, same windows. Both built by the same hands, in the same week, 20 feet apart. It's 5 in the afternoon. The thermometer inside the left cabin reads 76 degrees. 76 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. Comfortable. Quiet. The thermometer inside the right cabin reads 88. 88 juries. 31 Celsius. Uncomfortable. The kind of warm that makes you walk out of a room without knowing why. 12 degrees apart. Same forest. Same wood. Same insulation. What's the variable? Let's rewind to 6 in the morning. 6 a.m. The forest is cool. Birds. A little ground mist drifting between the trunks. Inside the left cabin, 62 degrees. Inside the right cabin, 62 degrees. Identical. You walk into either one, you couldn't tell them apart with your eyes closed. The wood smells the same. The floorboards creak the same. The light coming through the east-facing windows lands on the same patch of floor in both. If you measured them right now, and only right now, you'd say these cabins are twins. That's the trap. Because both cabins are about to start their day, and what happens between 6 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon is a slow, invisible divergence that almost nobody traces back to the cause. Watch the left cabin first. At 7 a.m., the sun clears the tree line on the east side. Light pours through the east window. The kitchen warms up by a couple of degrees. Nothing dramatic. Now the right cabin. Same thing. Same window. Same sun. Same couple of degrees. Still identical. By 9 a.m., the sun is climbing. The east light is starting to fade off the kitchen wall, and the south side of both cabins begins to glow. Both cabins now reading 68 degrees inside. Both gaining heat at the same rate. You'd swear nothing is going to separate these two. Noon. The sun is directly overhead. This is the moment everybody thinks is the hottest part of the day. It isn't. Not for a cabin. Not for a house. Not for anything with walls. At noon, the sun hits the roof. The roof, if it's pitched, is angled to deflect a lot of that energy. The walls, north, south, east, west, are nearly in shade at this hour. The sun is too high to reach them at any depth. Both cabins are now reading 72 degrees inside. Both still on the same curve. This is where most people stop paying attention. They assume the day is going to play out the way the morning played out. They walk out to the truck, they go run errands, they leave the cabins to themselves. And the cabins start to diverge. Quietly. It's afternoon that the geometry of the sun changes, and the geometry is the whole story. 3 in the afternoon. The sun has moved. It's not overhead anymore. It's tilted west, and it's dropping. Now here's the thing nobody draws on a house plan. The afternoon sun is not just lower in the sky. It is closer to perpendicular to a vertical wall. When the sun is overhead at noon, it grazes a vertical wall at a steep angle. The wall takes a glancing blow. Most of the energy bounces off into the sky. But at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., that same wall is now facing the sun head-on. Like a target. For 4 straight hours, the wall absorbs solar energy at almost full incidence. 4 hours of direct hit. Now look at the left cabin. Its long wall, the side that runs the longest, is facing south. The south wall at 3 p.m. is already starting to fall into the shadow of the roof eave above it. The sun is angling away from south toward southwest. The south wall, geometrically, is on its way out of the sun. Inside the left cabin, 78 degrees. holding steady, maybe drifting up half a degree per hour. Now look at the right cabin. The long wall of the right cabin is facing west, and the sun is staring it down. Inside the right cabin at 3 p.m., 81 degrees. By 4 p.m., 84. By 5 p.m., 88. The wall is no longer just a wall. It's a radiator. It absorbed energy from 1 in the afternoon all the way to 7 in the evening, when the sun finally drops behind the trees. By that point, the wood and the air gap behind it are saturated. The wall is a battery of heat, and that battery doesn't stop discharging when the sun goes down. It discharges inward. All night, 7 in the evening. The forest is going gold. Long shadows. The left cabin is at 76 degrees inside, slowly cooling. The windows open. A little cross breeze. The walls are giving back the modest amount of heat they took on during the day. The cabin is at 88. The cabin is at 88. The west wall is now warmer to the touch on the inside than on the outside. You can place your palm against the interior side of that west wall and feel it. Not hot, but warm, a patient, deep warmth that's seeping into the room. The cabin is not exhaling. It's still inhaling heat from the wall and pushing it into the air. This is the part most owners never understand. A wall doesn't stop being hot when the sun goes down. A wall is mass. Mass takes time to absorb energy, and the same time to release it. A west-facing wall that cooked from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. is going to keep releasing that heat until midnight. Sometimes until 2 a.m. 2 in the morning. Deep night. The forest is cold. Outside temperature has dropped to 55 degrees. The left cabin inside, 68 degrees. The cabin is matched to the night. The walls have given everything back. Sleep is easy in there. The right cabin inside, 76 degrees. Still 76. At 2 a.m. With outdoor air at 55. Where is the heat coming from? The west wall. Still. The wall absorbed so much energy during those 4 hours of perpendicular sun that it has been radiating inward for 7 hours and is not done. It will keep going until about 3 or 4 a.m. By the time the wall is finally neutral, the sun is already coming back to do it all over again. This is what a thermal lag looks like when the wall is on the wrong side of the house. You don't ever recover. So, same square footage, same logs, same insulation, same year, same builder. One difference, the long wall. The left cabin's long wall faces south. The right cabin's long wall faces west. That is the entire variable. Here's why almost nobody catches this. When you go look at a piece of land to build a cabin on, you look for the view, the lake, the opening through the trees, the clearing where you can see the mountain. The builder asks where you want the front door. The front door points at the view. And the long wall of the cabin gets oriented by the road, by the slope, by where the trees are thinnest. Nobody pulls out a compass and says, "Wait, where is the 4 o'clock sun going to land?" Roughly 1 in 4 pioneer cabins built across the temperate climates of North America has its long wall facing west. 1 in 4. That's not bad design. That's the absence of a question that should have been asked. The roof, by the way, is not where the heat is coming from in this story. People assume the roof. The roof has the most sun exposure across the whole day. The roof takes the noon sun directly. But the roof, if it's pitched, deflects that energy at angles the wall cannot. And the attic, if it's vented at all, has a path for hot air to escape upward. The wall has no escape. The wall is solid. Whatever heat the wall takes on goes inward. That's the difference. The roof has a knot, exit. The wall doesn't. There's a flip side to this story. In summer, the west wall is your enemy. 4 hours of perpendicular sun, every afternoon, every clear day, for 5 months a year. In winter, that same wall, in some latitudes, can be your friend. A south-facing wall in winter, when the sun is low and the days are short, can collect direct solar gain through windows and heat the room. A west wall, in winter, collects late afternoon sun just as the cabin is heading into a cold night. Exactly when you need a little stored heat. The wall isn't the problem. The wall is doing what walls do. The problem is orientation, without intention. Before you add force, read the flow. The sun is the flow. The wall is the response. You can find out your own cabin's orientation in 60 seconds. Take a phone. Open the compass. Stand inside your house. Point the top of the phone at the longest wall, the one with the most square footage. Read the bearing. If the long wall is pointing somewhere between 240 and 300 degrees on the compass, your long wall is facing west. You have the right cabin from this story. If it's pointing between 150 and 210, you have the left cabin. South-facing long wall. Easier to manage in summer. If you have a west-facing long wall, you have 3 passive moves available before you ever touch insulation or air conditioning. Move 1. Deep eave. A roof overhang that extends 2.5 to 3 feet beyond the wall. The eave shades the upper third of the wall during the worst hours, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. It costs about $300 in lumber and a weekend of work. Move 2. Deciduous tree. Plant a tree on the west side that drops its leaves in winter. In summer, full canopy. The tree absorbs sun before it ever hits the wall. In winter, bare branches. The sun comes through and warms the wall when you want it to. The tree is doing 2 opposite jobs in 2 seasons. That's not magic. That's a tree, doing what a tree does. Move 3. External light color. Paint, siding, anything on the outside of the west wall. Lighter color reflects more solar energy back into the air before the wall absorbs it. This is the smallest of the 3 moves. It helps, but it helps the least. A lot of owners want to start with move 3 because it's the cheapest and the most visible. Paint the wall white. Done. But here's the thing. Painting the exterior white reduces absorption by maybe 15%. The eave reduces absorption by 60 to 70% during peak hours because it stops the sun from ever touching the upper wall. The eave does the heavy lifting. The paint is a finisher. Most people skip the eave because it's not glamorous. It's not a product. It's not in the catalog. But it's the move that drops your peak afternoon temperature by 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Without touching insulation. Without buying an air conditioner. Without changing a window. There's a moment in the history of American farms when builders knew this without being told. Walk through any pioneer farmstead built before 1900. The main house is rarely oriented to the road. It's oriented to the prevailing wind, to the sun path, to the slope of the land. The barn might face the road. The house faces the sky. By the time tract building took over in the 1930s and 40s, the cabin became a product. The product was placed on the lot the way the road wanted it placed. Sun path stopped mattering. HVAC was supposed to fix whatever the building got wrong. HVAC's the cause. It never fixed the cause. So here is your checklist. The orientation audit. 1. Find your longest exterior wall. 2. Use a compass and measure its bearing. 3. Note the time the sun hits that wall direct. If the wall is west-facing, the answer is between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. in summer. 4. Walk outside at 3 p.m. on a clear day in July. Touch the wall. If it's warm to the hand, you're feeling tomorrow morning's discomfort. 5. Look up. Is there an eave above that wall? How deep does it extend? If you can see the wall from 20 feet away with no shadow on it at 3 p.m., you have no eave protection. That's the audit. 5 steps. 0 cost. The right cabin and the left cabin in this story are not different cabins. They are the same. Cabin rotated. You could pick up the right cabin, spin it 90 degrees on its foundation, and it would become the left cabin. 12 degrees would disappear. Your west wall is the most expensive wall in your house. Most owners don't even know which one it is. The fix was always there. You just couldn't see it.